History may remember Aileen Wuornos as a cold-blooded serial killer, but it forgets the dark detail that started her terrifying path of destruction, a life marked by violence, abuse, and desperation. Aileen Wuornos' tragic story is filled with violence, abuse, and psychological trauma, culminating in a series of murders that shocked the nation. Wuornos claimed that her killings were acts of self-defense against men who had raped or attempted to rape her while she was engaged in prostitution. But her shifting stories and the nature of the murders made her case complex and controversial. She was convicted of murdering 7 men along Florida highways between 1989 and 1990. And although her troubled upbringing and mental health were often discussed, they did not prevent her from being sentenced to death. Wuornos became one of the few female serial killers to gain widespread attention, with her life later being depicted in the film Monster, 2003, in which Charlize Theron earned an Academy Award for her portrayal of Wuornos. Aileen's early life was marked by extreme hardship. Born to a teenage mother, she never met her father, who was imprisoned for child rape and later committed suicide. Abandoned by her mother, she and her brother were raised by their alcoholic grandparents. Wuornos experienced severe abuse, including sexual assault by her grandfather and other men, which shaped her troubled adulthood. By her teenage years, she was homeless, engaging in sex work to survive. Her criminal history began early, including arrests for disorderly conduct, robbery, and assault. Her first known victim, Richard Mallory, was a man with a checkered past of his own, an electronics store owner whose history of sexual violence blurred the line between victim and predator. But as Aileen claimed his life on that fateful night in November 1989, shooting him multiple times and leaving his body to rot in the Florida wilderness, it became clear that Mallory wouldn't be the last. Days turned into weeks, and Wuornos struck again. David Spears, a 43-year-old construction worker, was next. His body was found discarded, naked, riddled with bullet wounds along Route 19. There was no robbery, no motive that made sense, just cold, detached violence. Wuornos later claimed that these men had attacked her first, and that each murder was in self-defense. But as the bodies began to pile up, the justification felt hollow, like an unraveling thread that couldn't quite tie together the gaping hole of horror she had created. The terrifying truth? The line between victim and predator grows ever blurrier, and the mystery remains. Who was Aileen Wuornos? A villain or a product of the horrors she endured? Follow for Part 2, where we dive deeper into the lives of her victims, like Charles Carskadden and Peter Seen.